For almost 30 years, Africa University has been nurturing students from more than 30 countries, offering more than 50 academic programs, developing community-focused leaders, equipping disciples, and transforming the world. Our work continues. Will you join us? Africa University. Help us grow deeper roots.
Action.
The Agenda 2063, it is a strategic framework that was developed by African Union in 2015. It primarily revolves around economic inclusivity and sustainable development. The main goal or the main achievement is to make Africa a powerhouse come 2063. Now, it has several goals that it sought to achieve, one of which include economic inclusivity, sustainable development, peace and security, and good governance. Now, it has key frameworks, or rather key aspects that it needs to look at so that we might achieve that great agenda that has been put forward by the African Union, which include the African Continental Free Trade Area, plus the Single African Air Transport Market, and Pan-African e-networking. So my name is Luis. I will be taking you through the Agenda 2063. So buckle up as we take off. Thank you.
Zola, do you ever think about what Africa would look like in the next 50 or 100 years?
Africa? What's there to think about Africa? I mean, I'm yet to figure out my life, not to talk of almighty Africa. Anyway, why do you ask?
Well, given the situation of Africa in the past, and I wonder if things would get better by then. You know, I read in the news that in some parts of Africa, people don't even have access to good schools, proper healthcare, and even basic amenities everyone should have.
50 years is a long time, but I believe things will be better then.
Me too. You know, sometimes I just wish I had the power to change things.
As African youth, we have the power to create the Africa we want.
My goods have been there for over 5 months. I haven't been able to trade because they've shut down the borders.
Wow, Charlie, you are still worried about your goods. My business has been shut down because of inadequate power supply. I wonder when we'll have steady power supply in this part of Africa, eh?
I wonder too. It's just so annoying.
We desire and demand an Africa that is peaceful and secure. An Africa where young and old, men and women, girls and boys from all walks of life are united in their diversity. An Africa whose growth and development are sustainable and inclusive, benefiting and bringing prosperity to all its citizens. An integrated continent, politically united, based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism and the vision of Africa's renaissance. An Africa where good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law are the guiding principles of our societies. This is an Africa where we are confident in our identity, heritage, and culture, and shared values. Our very thriving Africa where young people contribute at all levels of society. And ultimately, an Africa which is an influential global player responsible for managing her resources and financing her peace and development. Let us unite to build the Africa we want. Visit www.au.int to learn more about Agenda 2063.
The Agenda 2063 has faced a numerous progress when it comes to economic inclusivity. One of them includes African Continental Free Trade Area, which has been estimated around the world to be one of the largest model to include many African countries into the free trade area. However, it faces significant challenges, which include infrastructure, gender disparity, and border and custom issues by the customs. We also have the AGOA trading modules that has actually brought about the dissection of the AFCAFTA. This includes the USA entering into bilateral deals. And when I say bilateral deals, I mean trade deals that include export and imports of products from certain countries to the USA, which renders the AFCAFTA to be null and void to some of the countries. Also, this one limits, or rather, it sabotages the Agenda 2063 when it comes to economic inclusivity of countries. We also have one of the progress that is infrastructure developments. These programs, they include programs for infrastructure development in Africa, which include technology development, roads, railways, and the ports, which basically makes trading to be quite easy, quite efficient, and accessible to many firms and to many organizations. Peace and security has been achieved also in Africa, considering that during the past events we've had insurgency like the Cabo Delgado conflicts, we've had the Al-Shabaab's attacks, we've had the conflict that is now happening in DRC. But that has not gone into deaf ears, because many African countries, they have come together to address the issues of securities so that trade, or rather the Agenda 2063, might be achieved. We also have issues to do with challenges that face the AFCAFTA and the Agenda 2063. One of them, it is issues to do with conflicts, as I've earlier on stated, conflicts and security and insurgents in many areas. Another one is the interference of multilateral organization. Now, here is where the catch is. When we see the multilateral organizations coming into Africa, they really affect the development of Africa. In this sense, most of these organizations, they have been given tax holidays, whereby they do not pay taxes, as normal organizations can pay taxes, which hinders the progress of the Agenda 2063. We also have, from a famous book, The Confession of a Hitman, Economic Hitman. He actually articulates himself and say that the West are part and parcel of sabotaging the development of Africa in so many ways. They come in economically, they infiltrate socially, they infiltrate even security-wise. And how do I mean when I say the West interfere with the progress of the Agenda 2063? It all encompasses around Bretton Woods institution. We have the IMF, we have the World Bank, and so many others, whereby we are given loans and then we pay with higher interest rates. This is like a debt trap that basically hinders the development of Africa, because the amount African countries, or rather governments, could use towards the development of the Agenda 2063, it is used towards the payment of loans, payment of loans. It is used through the payment of high rates that come with the loans. So basically, when we highlight the infiltration of the West into our economies and how they affect the Agenda 2063 of the African Union, we primarily speak about sabotage by the Western countries.
The Agenda 2063 is a continental development plan for Africa whose achievement will lead to an integrated, prosperous and peaceful Africa driven by its own citizens and represent a dynamic force in the international arena. Agenda 2063 is committed to ensuring economic transformation that leads to higher standards of living for Africans. Improved education standards driven by a skills revolution founded on science, technology and innovation. Unity in society where democracy and good governance prevail and the universal principles for human rights, justice and the rule of law are pursued. Modern agriculture that leads to food security, improved productivity and production. Development of a blue ocean economy for accelerated economic growth. Protection of our environment and natural resources and the growth of renewable energy sources. Building world-class infrastructure across the continent. Establishment of functional and capable institutions supported by transformative leadership. A peaceful Africa where security and stability is guaranteed and guided by a fully functional and operational African Peace and Security Architecture, APSA. Promoting an African cultural renaissance embedded in the ideals of Pan-Africanism. Full gender equality in all spheres of life. African youth are engaged and empowered. Establishing Africa's own financial and monetary institutions that take full responsibility for financing Africa's development. Access to quality health services and proper nutrition for all citizens. An Africa that commands its place in global affairs, working with partners who will promote and support our economic development. Let us unite to build the Africa we want. Visit www.au.int to learn more about Agenda 2063.
We look at the Agenda 2063 and where we are right now or where we hope to be. There are so many opportunities that present themselves. Take a look at the youth demographic. Youth demographic, it is a situation where Africa right now, we are facing a youth bulge, whereby around the globe, we have the youngest population of youth below 30 years. So the key problem that we are facing as a continent right now, it is unemployment that the youth are facing as of now. And this one might become a time bomb at the end of the day. Because how do you place people who are graduates from prestigious universities, who have done various courses, and you render them unemployment? Because the governments are really not working towards creating employment or industries and so on and so forth. This means that the energy that should have been used to develop many African countries might be diverged towards the greater evil when the youths are not employed. So how will the governments or the African Union address such issues? They can come up with strategic plans, which includes processing industries that will see employment of many youths. This includes also lack of corruption and nepotism in selection of opportunities in various industries or places. We actually have an issue, again, when we want to look at the Agenda 2063, in this sense, when we have insecurities in Africa, the agenda will not be attained because the insurgents, they are too much. They are too much in regions whereby they are more productive and can bring about the strength of the agenda to see Africa to become like a powerhouse. Now, it is therefore my recommendation that governments and let me just say the African Union, they should come up with practical frameworks on how to address such issues. Number one, when formulating such strategic, they should not only be in paper, but they should actually be implemented so that we might realize the Agenda 2063. Number two, bad governance. Bad governance, it has always been an issue in Africa. Therefore, it is my recommendation that we have a revolution when it comes to political issue. It can range from how we elect our leaders, how they present their manifestos, and so on and so forth. But also, we can go back to the grassroots where we start to educate our young ones on the implications of corruptions. Corruption kills, corruption destroys. There is also a famous saying in politics, which the first president of Kenya actually said. He said, bad politics equals bad lives. So it is therefore important or imperative for us as family units from various backgrounds, we educate our youngsters on the importance of good governance, on the importance of being transparent in our daily lives. This will bring about revolution for us to be able to achieve the Africa we want. And it is therefore my submission to this argument that the Africa we want through the Agenda 2063 should be more practical and should be implemented but not be written. Thank you so much.
You